The worst thing that ever happened to me on stage was that I was performing at a place called Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut. And Toad's Place is a rock and roll club. They basically had a lot of punk groups, heavy metal, yada yada yada. And I was up there going to school at the time, and I thought it was a way for me to get away from the school and make some money would be to do stand up at this place because there were no clubs around. So I did this audition that night. And to cut to the chase, I mean, there was this band playing, and it was really like loud, and then I went up, and the guy did just a horrific job. I mean, he didn't introduce me or anything, and I kind of wandered on. Told me there were some people in the audience that I should really, if they bother me, to not get upset because they'll beat the shit out of me. And so I started talking, and did my act, and I was getting nowhere. And people are playing pinball machines. It's just chaos. But eventually, people are kind of coming around, and it's interesting, and it's not bad. And, it's quiet, which is like an improvement over noise. This woman in the audience started saying under her breath, and no one could hear it. She's sitting over stage, she left. No one can hear. She's going, "What's the matter with you? You ain't got a dick? Is that your problem? You ain't got a dick? But your dick is really small. But you ain't got a dick. But if I pulled your zipper down, you'd have nothing there. That's how come you talk like this, because you're a dickless wonder." So basically, she talked about my dick, at about 2,000 miles an hour. And so I'm trying to keep going, and no one's hearing this. It's right under her breath. It's just like a missile. And then finally, she stands up and starts walking toward the stage, and stands right in front of me and screams at the top of her lungs, "You're not talking about boobs, you're talking about tits." At which point she pulled the dress up, or her blouse, and exposed herself to me. And she was, the thing is, I'd looked at her, and she's like fairly high, it certainly was, I didn't, draw this woman out of the audience to come show me her tits. She then turned around and showed the tits to the audience. And it was to the point where you actually, at this club, there was a window at the back. People are walking on the street, so they stopped and were looking. So now she walks away, and it's like springtime for Hitler. There's an audience of people just mouths wide open, agape, staring at me. And this is absolutely true. This is this is the moment in my life where I realized this is not at the time, but later on, that this is where I realized what comedy was. Though is just that at that point in time, there's so much tension in the room that all I can say anything. I don't have to say anything specific. I could say mahogany elbows. I could say fur bladder. It does not matter. If you say it exactly at the right point in time, and you will get a huge laugh, because the tension in the room has to be released. It's like music in a way. So I'm standing there and I'm thinking, well, this is it. I'm finally going to get a big laugh. And I say, I get ready to open my mouth, and as God is my witness, a guy jumps up on a table at the back of the club and says, "Hello, listen up everybody, I'm a faggot. And I just want you all to know that I brought this woman here tonight, and I think I deserve a round of applause." And so the entire room turns and applauds this guy, and then turns back to me. At which point I'm dead, because this guy is basically taken all the tension out of the room and diffused it with applause, and for some reason has also admitted that he's gay, which is a bigger shock really at that point in time. But, and following this woman showing her tits, it's a psychotic move. And so at that point I said, rather stupidly, that, I'd like to thank my sister and my brother for joining me tonight, and good night. And the guy at the back of the room, actually, who was running the place, said, and I had been total up to this point, I would have to rate my performance and the response of the audience as dog shit, until we went into this hyper level. And the guy at the back of the room goes, "You're great, keep going." So that was probably, oh, of course, and that's when you know, because honestly, I believe, quite honestly, the reason, the main thing that the main place you learn and why people stay in comedy is because they like, you know, you gotta like dying. If you don't like dying, unless you're a natural, of which there what, 5? If you don't like dying, you're never gonna learn anything. And honestly, it's why we got a lot of shitty comics. So you got a lot of comics who basically are like from the Dale Carnegie School of Comedy now, and they, you know, as long as you act like it's funny, it's funny. Well, you know what? It's not funny. You know, they're not laughing, and nobody's interested. And if you keep going, if you don't like realize that and feel the death, then you know, I don't think you know that's. It's amazing to me. Some guys kind of like pass through that phase. But that's the most terrible thing. It's actually.